next guest, Steve Harmison, former England fast bowler, popped in, and it was all doom and gloom. England could be heading home from the T20 World Cup. They'd lost to Australia. We had the post-mortem on everything that was going wrong. Well, a week later, they are the first team through to the semi-finals, and everything in the garden is rosy. So Harry Kane and co take note of that. Good afternoon, Harmy.
Good afternoon. Yeah, you're right. A week at I mean, 2 or 3 different venues, 2 or 3 different pitches, a couple of different teams. Realisation of plan A, plan B, definitely plan C has got England into a semi-final, which I think everybody expected England to get to the semi-final.
That's about par, you think, for this tournament?
Yeah, I think so. I think out of the groups the way things were falling, I think you would have said England, Australia, India would be the big 3, and then you'd look at the hosts, Pakistan, New Zealand. You can't rule any of the others, the rest of them out. I think the West Indies were obviously strongly fancied, and you look at somewhere like South Africa with the likes of Henrik Klaassen, Quinton de Kock, and Kagiso Rabada, 3 unbelievable T20 players. You're going, well, South Africa, you can't write them off. But I expected the big 3 to get there, but now England look in actually quite ominous form.
Yeah.
Adil Rashid looks as though he was the game changer. I know Jordan got a hat-trick, but he was the game changer of the night. He's been brilliant, Adil Rashid. Archer looks at his best. And in the captain, I mean, when he's hitting the ball down the ground for 6 straight, he's in touch and he's in form. And for me, he was at his blood-during best the other night.
Oh, he was brilliant. He started these innings really. I've written down here, Butler started like it's a test match.
Yeah.
He was just getting the feel for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I suppose so. But blimey, did he accelerate?
But he does, though, Andy. If you're a massive cricket fan and you understand what happens in cricket, there was a big clamour for Joss to go, and I think people still inside the game, 1 or 2 people still inside the game, think Bairstow should open and Butler should bat 4. But I think, as you know the game as well as I do, you go and Joss Butler does chew up 4, 5, 6, 7 balls. So if he can do that at the top, he will definitely catch up later on down the line. So for me, that's why he's the best at opening the batting.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realise he got 83 not out last night off of 38 balls, and that included 7 sixes.
He played brilliantly. But so many of these countries have got IPL players, and you mentioned 3 from South Africa all play in the IPL. Australia, virtually the whole team plays in the IPL. It does make a difference, doesn't it?
Makes a huge difference
as well. So.
We have, but that's. I know you're talking about similarities with the football, and there's quite a lot of similarities. During my time playing cricket in England, at the early part of my career, we had 2 overseas players, and a lot of people were questioning whether 2 overseas players was the right thing, because your premier overseas batter bats in the business end, your premier overseas bowler bowls in the business end, and actually young England players don't get the chance to learn, develop and handle the pressure. And I think what I'm watching the England football team at the minute, we've got some very, very talented players, but we're expecting a few foreign players to help them out, and that doesn't happen. And I think when you go into the likes of the IPL in the cricket, if you go in and you're constantly changing franchises from different worlds, from different countries, you're changing different cultures, and you're learning and you're developing and you're getting better. And I think that for me is what's been brilliant about cricket in the last 10 years with these franchise tournaments, and especially with the IPL.
Brooks been looking good. He's been batting well.
He has. And I think you talk about, again, the similar with the football. It's a team change. Will Jacks just got 100 in the IPL, RCB. I mean, he walks off the field with Virat Kohli arm round him. I mean, what a picture that is. One of the greatest of the modern generation, celebrating you just getting 100. And he's batting at number 3, and he is a talented individual, but I think England needed to move everybody up one. Bairstow had to go in at number 3. Brook had to go in at number 4. He was just 1, 2 less down the order. Could Jacks will fill Moeen Ali's role eventually when Moeen Ali comes out of the team. So it was a plan A to go in with the start. Pearce, Jacks at 3, Bairstow 4, Brook at 5. And then they went to plan B. And then the plan C, bring Curran in, and without Wood. So the good thing about England is whatever surface they're going to come up against in the semi-final, whatever opposition they come up against, they've probably got 13 players to pick from, and they can cover all bases, which for me is very, very good. What a difference a week makes.
Our own John Norman, though, is very unhappy. You probably know this because you've been doing a podcast with him, but he's very unhappy about this whole tournament being set up in favour of India.
Yeah.
He's got a kind of point, really.
If people don't know, it was already predestined that they would play their semi-final in Guyana on Thursday because it's a 10:30 a.m. start, which is sort of early evening in India. So it was set up for Indian TV. So they've known they're going to have a daytime semi-final, which, pointed out, suits their bowlers. They've known from the start that's the situation. Whereas the other teams have now got to look at they don't know whether they're going to be playing. There's a couple of venues they could still play at. They know they're going to be in Georgetown or Port Spain, so they don't know where they're going to be. So it is kind of advantage India, isn't it?
It always is advantage India, unfortunately. It was the same. And people have thrown the last World Cup in and said, India pick where they want to play. But because it was predetermined where India were going to play in the 50-over World Cup, but there was a political element to that. If the met Pakistan, they had to play. I think they had to play in Ahmedabad because they weren't allowed in Mumbai. So that's a different story, and there's a lot of people throwing that accusation towards India on that. Isolation alone, the whole tournament's been set up for Indian TV market.
Yeah,
It has. And it's frustrated me because the Indian TV market and the people in India who absolutely love their cricket, obsessed. We think we love football in this country. Not even close. And I promise it's not even close. So a game that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, no matter what, people are prepared to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning in India, which they are. They'll get up at any time to watch a game of cricket. So I think the ICC missed the trick a little bit, not to stand up to India, but just made it a better viewing spectacle for everywhere in the world. Because Australia, the timings are poor. Even in the Caribbean, the timings are poor. 8:30 starts at night time in the Caribbean. Players don't want that. The supporters don't want that either. Some of them can't even see by 8:30 at night on the holidays. So I don't think the time and schedule has been great. I don't think the pitches have been great. The games have been close because of poorer quality. But fortunately for me, the real T20 World Cup started yesterday. When South Africa played the West Indies, India are going to play Australia, and then obviously when the semi-finals and final. That
is a massive game, isn't it? And unfortunately, it's going to be on at a funny time as well, isn't it? That game, so.
Yeah, 1:30 again. It's
1:30 in the morning. Again.
Yeah, you keep waking up to these results.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.